"Jake, after 17 years, we're terminating your role," my supervisor announced bluntly. "Clear your desk by the end of the day." My name's Jake Wilson, 54 years old, and until that Monday morning, I was a senior systems analyst at Meridian Technologies in Columbus, Ohio. For nearly 2 decades, I'd been the backbone of the IT department, from the era of dial-up connections to cloud integration. 3 CEOs had passed through while I remained, training every newcomer, restoring every misplaced file, and working weekends and holidays without seeking promotions or praise. So when Daniel summoned me to his office with Vanessa from HR already seated, I sensed the outcome before he spoke. The atmosphere had shifted weeks earlier. "I understand," I said with a single nod. I left without another word. No anger, no arguments, just calm acceptance. Back at my desk, I noticed younger colleagues stealing glances before quickly turning back to their monitors. Word spreads fast. Most were coders I'd mentored myself. Bright kids, but they didn't understand the system's foundations or the older architecture's quirks. None of them could navigate the custom software I'd developed or the admin credentials hidden deep within the systems. I packed my belongings methodically. A family photo, a mug my son crafted in high school, the tiny cactus that somehow thrived under fluorescent lights for 17 years. Bethany from marketing paused by, her expression tense with concern. "Jake, I just heard. This is absurd. You practically built this company." I shrugged. Businesses shift priorities, but without any notice after all you've done. Her voice rose, attracting attention. "It's okay," I said softly. "Really? It wasn't okay." But I wasn't about to make a fuss. As I left, Daniel emerged from his office to watch me depart. No farewell, no handshake. Just a silent stare to ensure I was gone. What they hadn't noticed over the years was that I'd become the most vital person in the building. Not because I was extraordinary, but because I was meticulous. I documented everything. I'd established secure audit protocols years ago at the legal team's request during a past controversy. I kept backups. In my car, I sat for a moment, gazing at the 12-story building where I'd spent most of my adult life. The security badge I'd just turned in had been renewed 16 times. I started the engine and drove home. They didn't know Wednesday would be interesting. I'd been with Meridian since it occupied just 2 floors in a business park. I started when my daughter Olivia was in kindergarten. Now she was completing grad school. The company expanded and I grew with it. I declined offers from rivals because loyalty mattered to me. My wife Andrea used to tease that the servers were my second family. She wasn't entirely wrong. I knew every system, every workaround, every hidden fix for issues the executives didn't even know existed. The infrastructure I'd built endured 3 acquisitions and countless initiatives that management adopted, then dropped, months later. Daniel became my boss 5 years ago, a young MBA type who referred to our team as IT assets instead of people. He spoke of optimization, efficiency, and digital transformation, buzzwords that often meant doing more with less. I tried to explain our system's complexities, the layers built over years of growth. "We need to modernize," he'd say in meetings, ignoring me. 6 months ago, he hired a consultant named Jason Phillips. Polished suit, firm handshake, Stanford degree flaunted on his LinkedIn. They'd whisper in meeting rooms, falling silent when I passed. 3 months ago, I noticed my access permissions being subtly altered. Nothing blatant, just minor tweaks to admin controls. I could have objected, but instead I observed, documented. "You seem preoccupied lately," Andrea said one evening on the porch. "Everything all right at work?" I nodded, sipping my beer. "Just changes, nothing new." But these changes felt different. I was excluded from meetings. Emails about system upgrades stopped reaching me. Younger team members took over projects I'd typically led. Then I found it, a company-wide memo about modernization plans, never shared with me. It detailed a complete IT department overhaul under new leadership, Jason Phillips. My role wasn't even listed. That same day, I discovered something else. During a routine security scan, one of those tasks no one else bothered with, I noticed odd patterns in our financial software. Regular payments to an unfamiliar vendor, Apex Solutions Group. A quick search revealed it was registered last year, linked to a UPS store address. The payments started small but grew monthly. I didn't mention it, just recorded it, saved the data, and kept watching. Sometimes the quiet guy in the corner sees everything because everyone assumes he sees nothing. The morning after my termination, I sat in my home office, staring at my personal laptop. No alarm had woken me. No commute awaited. Just silence and the weight of what had happened. Andrea brought me coffee, setting it beside me without a word. After 19 years of marriage, she knew when to give me space. "I'm heading to the store," she said eventually. "Need anything?" I shook my head. After she left, I unlocked my desk's bottom drawer and pulled out a flash drive. One of several I kept secure. Company policy forbade removing data. But years ago, when the legal team needed an audit system for insider threats, I'd insisted on off-site backups. They'd approved, then forgotten. I plugged it in and reviewed the files, internal emails, meeting notes I shouldn't have accessed, financial records no ordinary employee would see. There it was, a full history of payments to Apex Solutions Group, nearly $1.8 million over 18 months. The approval chain led to our CFO, Brian Wilcox. I dug deeper, cross-referencing dates and figures until the pattern emerged. The payments matched software license renewals for company-wide systems, but the amounts were inflated, sometimes by 15%, sometimes by 20%. Subtle enough to avoid immediate scrutiny, significant enough to accumulate. I checked Apex Solutions Group's business registration. The owner was Thomas Wilcox. A quick social media search confirmed my suspicion. Brian's brother-in-law. They were diverting company funds through fake markups on legitimate expenses. I leaned back, feeling a shift inside me. Not anger exactly, something colder, more calculated. For 17 years, I'd solved problems, secured systems, protected data. I'd been the dependable one, the steady presence who never stirred trouble, and they discarded me like obsolete equipment. My phone buzzed with a text from Steven, a junior analyst I'd mentored for 2 years. "Sorry about yesterday. Total nonsense what they did. Phillips is already settling into your office." I set the phone down without replying. The pieces fit now. Daniel and the CFO needed me out before I could uncover their scheme. They likely thought the evidence would vanish with me, that I was just some aging tech guy who didn't grasp modern finance. I opened my email and began drafting a message to the board of directors. Then paused, finger over the send button. Too direct, too easy to dismiss as a disgruntled ex-employee's claims. I needed leverage, precision, a way to expose the fraud that couldn't be ignored. I deleted the draft and started planning. Tomorrow was Wednesday, board meeting day, quarterly financials would be reviewed, bonuses would be approved, perfect timing. I closed the laptop and looked out at the neighborhood where we'd raised our kids and built our life. For the first time since yesterday, I smiled. Wednesday morning, I parked across from Meridian's headquarters, watching employees enter through the revolving doors. My laptop sat on the passenger seat, logged into an email account I'd created years ago for security testing. One that mimicked an internal company domain but wasn't tracked in the main directory. At 9:15 a.m., I made my first move. An email to Daniel, subject, "Financial discrepancies, urgent action required," with a brief outline of the Apex payments. I included just enough to be credible, omitting the brother-in-law link. If Daniel was involved, he'd panic. If not, he'd investigate. Either way, I'd learn something. By 9:45, my phone rang, Daniel's number. I let it go to voicemail. His message was curt. "Jake, we need to discuss your email now. Call me back." I didn't. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop, opened my laptop, and waited. At 10:30, an email from Vanessa in HR arrived. "Mr. Wilson, we've received concerning communication from you that may violate your separation agreement. Cease all contact with Meridian employees and adhere to your confidentiality obligations. Further communication may lead to legal action, so that's how they'd play it. Threaten, dismiss, isolate." I hadn't signed any separation agreement. At noon, I visited my bank and accessed my safe deposit box. Inside was another backup. Older but with critical data I hadn't stored on my regular drives. It included original security protocols I'd designed, detailing who had access to what systems and when changes occurred. Per these records, Brian Wilcox had requested expanded access to financial approval systems 18 months ago, coinciding with the Apex payments. Back home, I found 3 more missed calls, Daniel, Vanessa, and now Jason Phillips. I hadn't expected him to engage so soon. Intriguing. I checked my personal email to find an urgent message from Steven. "Jake, they're saying you sent some wild email about financial fraud. Phillips called an emergency meeting. Everyone's buzzing. They're revoking your access to everything, even historical data we need for work. What's happening?" Poor kid. Caught in the middle, I sent a short reply. "Stay out of it, Steven, just observe." At 3 p.m., my home phone rang. A number I hadn't used for business in years. I picked up but stayed silent. "Jake." It's Brian Wilcox. His tone was calm, controlled. We should discuss your concerns. I think there's a misunderstanding. Is that what you call it? I asked. Look, transitions are tough. If you have questions about company finances, there are proper channels. Like the board, I cut in. Silence then. The board doesn't need to be troubled with operational details. Let's meet tomorrow, just us. We can sort this out. Sorry, I'm busy tomorrow, I said. Besides, I think the board might be very interested in Apex Solutions Group. And your brother-in-law. His sharp inhale confirmed everything. You're making a big mistake, he said finally. We can make this right. Generous severance, references, whatever you need. Goodbye, Brian, I said and hung up. Within 10 minutes, Vanessa emailed again. Suddenly, my severance package had doubled with an attached agreement demanding complete confidentiality on all company matters. They were panicking now, but they still thought they were dealing with a simple shakedown. They had no clue what was coming. Thursday morning brought clarity and confirmation. I'd spent the night sifting through years of data, connecting dots I'd previously missed. The Apex scheme wasn't Brian's first financial trick. 3 years ago, shortly after he became CFO, another pattern appeared. Consulting fees to a firm called Lakeside Business Solutions. Different name, same tactic. Inflated invoices for services partially or never delivered. I traced Lakeside's registration. It led to Patricia Wilcox, Brian's wife. She was listed as CEO of a company with no website, no staff, and a virtual office address. But the bigger revelation came from email archives. Daniel hadn't just known about these deals, he'd helped arrange them. In return, his department got budget boosts while others faced cuts. He'd been hired because the previous director had started questioning IT spending. Even Jason Phillips was involved. His consulting firm was brought in through an unusual process that skipped standard procurement rules. His real job wasn't modernizing IT, it was removing the one person who might spot the financial patterns. Me. The scheme was clever in its simplicity. Set up legitimate-looking vendors, approve inflated payments, and split the profits. Since actual services were provided just at higher rates, auditors looking for outright fraud would miss it. Over 3 years, they'd siphoned nearly $4.3 million. I compiled everything into a detailed report. Spreadsheets showing the payment patterns. Business registrations tying the companies to Brian's family. Emails proving Daniel's involvement. Then I did something they wouldn't anticipate. I contacted Robert Chen, a board member I'd worked with years ago on a security project. He was semi-retired but still attended quarterly meetings. Jake Wilson, he said, picking up on the second ring. Been a while. Heard you left Meridian. Not by choice, I replied. Robert, I need 15 minutes of your time. It's critical. Silence then. This is about why Brian and Daniel have been whispering and looking stressed. Board meeting was tense yesterday. Probably he laughed. Always knew you had the dirt. Where can we meet? An hour later, we sat in a park 3 miles from headquarters. I handed him a sealed envelope with a printed summary and a flash drive. That's everything, I said. Dates, amounts, connections. I'm not after my job back. I'm not after money. I just want the right people to know. Robert studied me. Why me? Because you actually read audit reports. I've seen you in meetings. You ask questions. He nodded slowly. There's an emergency board session tomorrow. Finance committee review. Good timing. Jake, he said, pocketing the envelope. If this holds up, heads will roll. I'm counting on it. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Andrea. Someone named Jason Phillips stopped by the house looking for you, said it was urgent. I told him you were out. They were getting desperate. Good. That afternoon, I received job offers from 2 rival firms, both for roles above my previous position, both with substantial signing bonuses. Word of my availability had spread. I ignored them for now. This wasn't about a new job. It was about finishing what they'd started. That night, using credentials that should have been deactivated but weren't, sloppy transition, Jason. I accessed the company's email server one last time. I scheduled a message to reach every board member at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Before you approve Q2 bonuses, read this. Attached was my full report. Friday morning was clear and bright. I sat on my porch with coffee, watching the neighborhood come alive. No alarm, no commute, just waiting. At exactly 8 a.m., my scheduled email hit the board members' inboxes. By 8:17, my phone started ringing. Unfamiliar numbers. Probably board members' assistants trying to reach me. I let them go to voicemail. At 9 a.m., the emergency finance committee meeting would start. Robert Chen would be there with my evidence, watching reactions as my email was opened and discussed. At 9:32, Stephen texted, Police are here. Wilcox and Daniel being questioned in conference rooms. Phillips looks shaken. What did you do? I didn't reply. Everything was unfolding as planned. By 10 a.m., Meridian's general counsel called. Unlike the others, I answered. Mr. Wilson, this is Patricia Graves from Legal. We need you to come in immediately to discuss the information you sent the board. I'm available by phone, I said. This requires an in-person meeting. No, it doesn't, I said calmly. Everything I know is in that report. Everything I have is backed up in multiple secure locations. If anything happens to me or my family, additional copies go to the SEC, IRS, and 3 news outlets. Silence. Mr. Wilson, she said, her tone careful. The board is taking this very seriously. Several executives have been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. They'd appreciate your cooperation. I've cooperated fully by providing complete documentation. My role is done. After she hung up, I drove to a diner 20 miles outside Columbus. No need to be easily found today. Over lunch, local business sites started reporting. Meridian Technologies executives under scrutiny for financial irregularities. No names yet, but that would come. At 2 p.m., Robert Chen called. It's a mess, he said without preamble. Brian confessed when we showed him your evidence, trying to make a deal. Blaming Daniel for pushing him. Daniel's denying it all. And Phillips says he was just a consultant with no financial knowledge. Board's not convinced. All 3 are suspended pending further investigation. The money, forensic accountants start Monday. Early estimates suggest at least $4.5 million diverted over 3 years. Maybe more, I nodded to myself. I'd been close. The board wants to meet you, Robert continued. About returning not to your old role. They're creating a chief security officer position, reporting directly to the board. I'd considered this but was still surprised. I'll think about it, I said. That evening I told Andrea everything. She listened without interrupting, then asked, What do you want to do? Good question. The revenge was complete. Those who'd forced me out were now facing their own exit. Likely criminal charges. Justice had been served, cold and precise. But going back to Meridian meant returning to a place that had discarded me after 17 years. Could I do that? Did I want to? I need time to decide, I said finally. Later that night, I opened my laptop and posted a single message to my rarely used LinkedIn profile. Never destroy bridges. Let them crumble under the weight of their own greed. Within minutes, former colleagues reached out. Word was spreading. The quiet systems guy had taken down 3 executives without raising his voice. By Monday, everyone would know who they'd underestimated. Monday morning, I walked into Meridian's headquarters in a suit I hadn't worn in years. The security guard did a double take, then quickly printed a visitor badge. Welcome back, Mr. Wilson, he said with newfound respect. The elevator ride to the executive floor was quiet. I'd never had reason to visit this level before. Now I was expected.